Hello, I'm O Speaks. If you're new here, like, subscribe, share, because there's really no reason not to. So today, I'm actually looking at X right now, just marveling at the weirdness of this weird campaign. There's like a scramble going on. Let me fix this window. There's a scramble going on right now around. I don't even know what it is. There's like this weird phenomenon that people are rallying around Erica Kirk, and it's they're trying to force narratives, and that's what we're seeing. Where I talked about people playing in your face. This is it. This is what we're looking at, and it's really, really, really strange. I don't know. I don't know if everyone's paying enough attention. So it's almost like I feel like I'm alone. Like while I'm sitting here trying to figure it out, um, other people are like just arguing over different stuff, and I don't know. I don't. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Um, we're gonna switch gears after we talk about Erica Kirk. We're gonna talk about Iran and the war. And I still don't think people know what's going on, and they don't know what Iran is, because every time I hear people talking about Iran, it's uh it's this mythical place where it's just a big sand. It's just all desert, and people beating their women, and women completely hijabbed up and all this stuff, and it's just not. It's not what it is. And I don't want to come across as some kind of apologist for Iran, because that's definitely not the case. I'm indifferent though, and the difference between me being indifferent um, and me. Well, let me fix this. The difference between somebody being indifferent is I'm not invested in it. I don't care. I really don't. And I'm not thinking about it. I'm just not. I don't know. I'm not overcome by it to the point where I'm going to get emotional either way. The annoying part is when my country is involved and my government's playing in my face. That's where I have the real problem. I'm not apologist again for Iran. I could care less. They're they are who they are. They're a whole different country. They're not my country. I am America first, which gives me this level of indifference that I think annoys some people. Um, but that doesn't mean I don't see that there's still people. And what frustrates me about all of this is my government lying to me about their government lying to their people. And it's like, what are we doing again? But we're going to talk about Erica Kirk first. Um, if you look at X, and this is where most of it's happening, X, Facebook, all social media, IG, it's happening everywhere. What's going on, Slim Jim? Not preaching yet. Not preaching yet. Um, what we're looking at is a campaign to protect this lady, and still trying to figure out what it is they're trying to protect, because it has nothing to do with her husband, Charlie Kirk. That's who I actually when I talk to people online about this, especially people on X, I'm trying to come from his perspective. Like, do you not understand what's going on? Ebbs, Sinead Ebbs, they're doing this thing where they keep referring back to her as a grieving widow, and oh, how dare you say these things about a grieving widow, and they start quoting the Bible. And what it does is it forces Christians to defend their position against the Bible. And it's like that's not that's not the argument. That's not the problem that people have with this lady. The problem that they have with this lady is that she's a liar. And they're all attacking Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. That's fine, whatever. This is all, there's so many layers to this. There's a censorship layer, there's a distraction layer, and then there's this, whatever it is, I believe it's to run Erica Kirk for some kind of office, whether it be for, I don't know, governor of Arizona or some kind of position. Or they think she can somehow do it at a national level, which I find it really hard to believe. But you have everyone who's called Laura Loomer a nut job now all of a sudden on her side, and it's really, really strange to look at people like Ben Shapiro and other people on the right attacking, or not attacking, but they're so invested in getting Candace Owens that they're willing to side with a nut job like Laura Loomer. Everyone's called her out before, but now they're the ones who are saying it. It's really, really weird to watch. It's enjoyable. I do get some satisfaction out of watching it. I just don't like the lying and the dishonesty and the hypocrisy of it. Because again, we've all seen you people call this lady crazy, and now just because she's going after somebody that you don't like, you're cheering her on, saying, "Yeah, yeah, do it." It's like, but we know what this lady is. Laura Loomer's crazy, and it's not even like I'm not just saying that. This isn't. I'm not being hyperbolic. This like literally, she's been committed in the past. So I don't know. It's I don't know. I never understood. They say, well, you shouldn't be attacking Erica Kirk's family, which I've never seen Candace Owens do. She looked into her mother. She looked into her past. What's going on, KMC? So I have seen that. But if that's your position, and your position is that family is off limits, how can you cheer on Laura Loomer going after Candace Owens' family? Like, there's got to be consistency. What do you really stand on? Or is it really just about shut up, we don't want to hear your opinions on Erica Kirk and the grieving widow stuff? Again, it's weird because, again, it forces us as Christians to argue with the Bible, which we're not going to do. But you're taking it out of context because you're saying that any woman who is a widow has free reign to do anything they want. I don't even know what the real position is. It's really strange. So she can lie about anything, and it's actually really kind of sick. So ignoring Romania, ignoring texting teenage girls, ignoring her quest of fame before meeting Charlie Kirk, just the lying alone seems to not be an issue with all these people on the right who are, I don't even want to say it's defending her, who are coming to her aid. Like I said, I don't even know what this is. They're just rallying around her. And I really think it's really about Candace Owens. They just hate her. So no matter who Candace Owens says anything about, they're going to ride with that person. And it's very clear now that Laura Loomer is now in the equation. I am glad that Alex Jones is back to normal. Well, normal for him. I'm glad that he's no longer going after Candace Owens because it seems like he's realized, oh, wait a minute, there may be something to what she's saying. I'll never understand what he did and why he was doing it. He was making daily videos about her. And I was like, what are you doing, dude? Do you know that this is your audience? So I am glad that he's come around. But with Larry Loomer, she's this Laura. With Laura Loomer, she's this. Everyone knows who she is. Everyone knows what she is. And I just watching people compromise everything that they've said in the past as if we don't remember and we weren't there is I don't know, like, even interesting. Interesting doesn't even describe it because it's funny, but it's also sad, but it's also annoying and frustrating at the same time. Erica Kirk has lied about everything. From her upbringing, she said that she was raised in a single parent family home. We know that's a lie. We know that's a lie. Her father actually was a stay-at-home father for a long time, and then she had a stepfather. So instead of asking that, it seems like we're not supposed to say anything. We're just supposed to go along and ignore it because she's a widow. And I don't buy that. I just don't. I can't. And when you look at her dating history and the lies about that, that's the part that gets me the most. And it's not because she lied, because I don't think anyone would care how many dudes she's banged in the past. I don't think anyone would care at all if she was banging chicks, dudes. Maybe there's some limits to that. But as long as Charlie was okay with it, I don't understand why anyone else would be. The problem is that you lied after the fact, and you're using it as a means to kind of seem above other people. I didn't date for 5 years because I knew the Lord would place a man like Charlie. If you're going for a guy like Charlie, you have to do this. And she's the one setting these parameters, and she's doing it for other people. So she's essentially saying, if you want to get a guy like Charlie Kirk, this is what you have to do. And it's like, all right, whatever. Before his body is cold, she's lying about it all, and she's doing 180s, and that's the part that really, 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 really bothers me. And worse is, because I'm on the right, I do not like feminists telling me that it's okay that she lied to her husband about being a trad wife or whatever you want to call it these days. They changed it. It used to just be conservative. Used to be, actually, before that, it used to just be considered normal. Now that they put labels on it, staying at home and raising your kids is now called trad, which is fine, whatever. As long as it's being done. There are absolutely instances where women can't do that, and families can't do that, and men can't support that. What's going on, Amber Carmel? Jimmy Ball, what's up? Obviously, everyone can't do that, but when you're in position to do that, it should be a preference. Should be a preference, because they're your kids, and we all know how the leftists have infiltrated our schools. And if it's possible to homeschool, that would be even better. Now, these are ideals. This doesn't mean everyone can do it or even would want to do it. But ideally, you want the least amount of indoctrination from these leftist schools that are trying to trans kids and transition kids without letting the parents know, like they do in California. Like this kind of stuff, you should be trying to stay away from it. Having dudes running track against your daughter, who's, you've trained her whole life to get to this position, and just to have some guy say, I think I'm going to be a female, and then take out her hopes of competing or getting to college on scholarships. Like, all this stuff it should be normal. But now we have labels for it. And she labeled herself. I didn't label it. I didn't do it. But once she started lying about her dating history, this is when everything started going left for her. Because had she just shut up and did what she said she was going to do, no one would have an issue with it. So we're gonna play some video on her, and we're gonna talk about it, because I'm sick of having these conversations with these women online that aren't conservative. They say they are. Actually, you know what? Let me show a perfect example. This is what I'm sick of. This is what annoys me. We all know. Well, I don't know if we all know who Allie Beth Stuckey is. This woman is a known conservative, right? Or she says she is. If you look at her bio, it literally says, best, it doesn't say it anymore. Oh, that's interesting. It used to say God first, mother, wife. Huh. Well, she's changed that. That's really interesting. But anyway, this is a perfect example of one of her posts. I'm so sick of people saying, well, maybe Erica should stay home. Bro, that's none of your business. I don't know when she started talking like that, because that's not her. Obviously, that's not her. She doesn't talk like. If you know who this woman is, you'd be like, huh? Why is she trying to sound like a teenager? What's up, Mel? How do you know where her kids are? How do you know that they're not with her? How do you know that she's not home 95% of the time? Also, if it doesn't affect you, just pray for her protection and strength, and keep your busybody thoughts to yourself. That's not really how it works, but okay. This is one example. What's up, Miss Solstice? One example of how these people are, and they're doing it nonstop. It is nonstop. I had another one up here. Where's the other one? That's one too. But here, this one. Ooh, this one really.
Times before, and there will always be noise. Carrying on Charlie's legacy, and there is so much noise. I know I've said this many times before, and there will always be noise. Whenever you are over the target, we're in enemy-occupied territory. There will always be noise, and there will always be people that will distract you. If myself or Charlie spent every single second going down and responding to every accusation, responding to every insult, responding to every judgment, we would get nothing done. We just wouldn't. And at the end of, Nehemiah, he basically was saying, Lord, strengthen my hands. And so I feel the same way. Like, I'm not going to ask God to remove those people from my life. It just makes me stronger. So, Lord, instead of removing these people and this noise at the bottom of the hill while I'm trying to build, just give me stronger shoulders, give me stronger hands to keep building, because that's always going to be there. That's the enemy, and that's life. Mm-hmm. That's life. Mm-hmm. It's a lot to.
Is it really, Erica? Are you the builder, or was your husband the builder? Again, weird to me. if you know who this woman is, you know that this is a very strange thing that she's saying, because it's not normal. Oh no, I was in bookmarks. But I'm constantly going through this with these people. Here's another one. Oh no, that was Seth. Here we go. Here's another one. This is my video. If you see this on X, I made this. It's a compilation, but I made this, and I've been seeing this everywhere, which is pretty cool because it means people are actually reading. But here's another one. For those people saying if Erica Kirk were truly grieving, she would have taken a year off for her kids and therapy. Then she goes through a list of all these women, great women who've lost great husbands, and how they moved forward. So first thing I did was say, did any of those women say this? And I played her words. You're missing the part where she said it, not a bunch of random strangers. I'm not coming and saying what she should do. I'm coming and saying, wait, this is what you said publicly. You told other women what they should do. And as soon as your husband dies before the body's cold, you're doing the exact opposite. Why? I don't think that's it blows my mind that anyone can be a fan of a Charlie Kirk or what he stood for, or be a conservative or be a Christian and not see anything wrong with this. And you see people like this. Here's a perfect example. You don't know this woman in real life. I don't have to know her in real life. She told my daughters, I got 3 daughters. She told my wife what they should do. And then she doesn't do it. I have a problem with that. You told the world this. Nobody threw you into this and just randomly started talking about you. You put yourself on camera and you said stuff. I didn't. And you cited the Bible and you keep quoting scriptures, and it really annoys me when you do that, lady, because it's almost always out of context and go after a woman. This is what I'm talking about. I really appreciate you doing this, because this is all you see. You're going after a grieving widow. It's a woman. You don't know her. Why do I have to know her to hold her to her own words? It's so interesting to watch, but we're going to, whoops, wrong one. We're going to pull this up because we're going to listen to her words. Yeah, I'm going after a woman. I'm saying, hey, lady, you said this. Why are you now doing this? And I'm attacking her. Apparently, that's attacking her. Where did it go? Where's my video? Oh my gosh, of course, right now. Really? This is what we're doing? There it is. Is this it? Let me play it, make sure that's it. That's it. Here we go. All right, sorry. Let's listen to her and see if I'm just picking on some lady.
To ask you your personal journey, but what I will say is when I lived out here, I was here for 5 years. I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was.
A viral.
Okay. Again, this is her offering advice to young women. Not me saying, hey, you should do this, you should do that. This is her saying you should do this, you should do that. I'm not going to judge you, but hey, if you want to live wonderfully like me, this is how you achieve these goals. So you heard it. I'm going to start it over because this is really important. This is the crux of the issue.
I'm not going to ask you your personal journey, but what I will say is when I lived out here, I was here for 5 years. I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was.
A viral clip of Erica's brief cameo in Bravo reality series Summer House shows her drinking and flirting during the summer of 2018, just before she said she met Charlie. Internet sleuths argue that not only was Erica dating at that time, but the former Miss Arizona may have been engaged. When romantic pics of Erica and baseball player Tyler JT Massey went viral, many pointed out their similarity to engagement photos. Erica confirmed her relationship with Massey in a 2014 article for Arizona Foothills magazine. Tracing the chronology of her ideal day, she said, 5:30 p.m., happy hour with my favorite human and best friend, JT Massey. Also conveniently enough, my incredible boyfriend.
Here's another one. This is her another ex. And again, she's the one who said, I didn't date for 5 years, so since I've been here. This is within that 5-year guideline. Why lie? No one would have ever questioned this. No one would have ever questioned this because no one would have cared. She introduced this to make herself look better than other people. Why? What's the purpose of this? Somebody tell me what the purpose is of this. This is the next guy. This is Cabot Phillips. And this is probably the most disgusting one of all. And I'm going to show you why this is the most disgusting one of all. So this is him. Now, people have a problem with this. I think it's gross, especially knowing you're in politics and you're putting something like that in, like, literally, like that. To me, that's gross. But here's the more important part about this. This is him saying, good to give yourself a little reminder sometimes. I don't know what that means. I don't want to know what that means. In politics, people know what pizza means. And it has to do with underage children. So maybe he just really does like pizza. Okay, fine. My problem isn't any of that. It's weird to me. I don't like it, but my problem isn't really that. My problem is she dated this guy right before she dated Charlie Kirk. Why is this a problem? I'll show you why it's a problem. This guy, this is his post. Again, when you hold people to your own word or their own words, it's not you being the problem. It's just not. Yes, we're the couple who gets painting lessons together. This is September 17th. I think in 2027, she met Charlie and then ended up getting married in 2018. Again, no one would care about this. But she did this weird holier-than-thou thing. Here's the most disgusting thing. Charlie Kirk died on September 10th of last year. By September 24th, he was working for Charlie Kirk's company. Hold on, you got to see me for this. I have a problem with this. I don't care what anybody else says. If God forbid something that were to happen to me, and my wife hired her ex to fill in for me and teach people about me, I would have a really big problem with that. So anyone saying, oh, it's not a big deal, why do you care? This is why I care. As a husband, as a father of 4, I have a problem with this. I really do. Because this guy, within 2 weeks of his death, was working for his ex-girlfriend. And I think this is insane. Like, she's the CEO at this point. Microphone. Oh. She's the CEO at this point. She hires her ex. Within 2 weeks, he's working for Turning Point USA. That's what it says up in the upper left-hand corner, or maybe upper right-hand on your screen. This is insane to me. This is disgusting to me. Something is off here, and whether you like her, don't like her, are completely indifferent, you have to admit something is wrong with this. You have to. I don't know how anyone can, because every event that they had, it gets even more bold here. To me, this is, when he started doing this, is the worst. How to lead like Charlie. This is October. So this is the very next month. Every event that they had, you need to see my face when I say this. Every event that they had, the guy who was banging Erika Kirk before she got married to Charlie is telling people how to lead like Charlie. Something's really, really wrong here. Whether you, like I said, this is why I'm leaving everything else to the side, and I don't care about, you know, not that I don't care, but she hasn't been prosecuted for Romania. Nothing's like, you know, the people around her being looked at for all that stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this alone and this, because anyone who looks at this should be able to say, ooh, this is not good. This is really not good. The guy who was banging her right before she met Charlie Kirk is now talking about Charlie Kirk. This is wild. And it's gross. And I don't understand why anybody can say this is not a big deal, or like they don't see anything wrong with this. If you follow Charlie Kirk at all, and you can look at this guy fight like Charlie, that's his ex-girlfriend's dead husband. This is insane. And for people to think that this is an attack, how is this an attack? Like anyone who looks at this, anyone who's ever been married or even been like in a relationship, it's wild to me that they don't see anything wrong with this. This is November. So we're looking, this is nonstop. One after another, after another, after another, after another. This guy is speaking on Charlie Kirk. And he's hired by Charlie Kirk's widow right after the guy died. It started 2 weeks, which means she had to have hired him before 2 weeks. It's not like she just says, hey, I'll hire you. Can you start today? This means within a week to at least 13 days, she has this guy that she was banging speaking on behalf of her dead husband. How is this okay to any human being? Anyone who's ever been in a relationship, like you got to be like, oh, if you know about this, you have to see something wrong with this. Here's another one. And it's nonstop. It's going on to this date. Like literally May 1st was their last event. He's still doing this. This is November 12th. How to lead like Charlie. Lead who? His wife? Like, I don't know how anyone can look at this and not have a problem with this. Man or woman, something is wrong here. This is her ex. This is her ex. And to have somebody say, well, why are you attacking her? I'm not attacking her. I'm pointing out something really, really obvious that, again, anyone should be able to relate to. I don't care if you're a teenager. You should be able to see this and say, oh, that's not good. Lead like Charlie, my ex-girlfriend's dead husband. And it's not like it was years ago. It was right before they met. How is this okay to anybody? Lead like Charlie, November 19th. It just goes on and on. This guy, which another issue that I have is he's traveling with TPUSA. She's traveling to all these events. Is he flying with her? Like, why is this not a big deal to anybody? He's married now. Why would his wife be okay with this? Nobody's saying it like, oh, I won't say nobody's saying anything like this. I'm just saying that people who get mad at me for saying stuff like, I don't like her, they immediately assume it's because I'm some kind of widow abuser. And it's so interesting. They went on a couple days. See, here we go. All right, let me look at the timestamp here. 1:15. They okay. That's not her ex. You sure about that? You sure about that? What does this say? What's your name? Where'd you go? Scotty Anderson. Yes, we're that couple who gets painting lessons together. Is that what does that mean to you? How many dates have you been on where you automatically called yourself a couple with that lady? I'm pretty sure she'd never talk to you again. Widow abuser. This isn't proof that they were a couple? Him saying that they're a couple? So you guys can see why I'm looking like, what? What is wrong with you people? They're dead serious. They see nothing wrong with this. And I look at this and I'm like, something's not right here. Something's really not right here. That's not normal behavior. This is not normal behavior. This is cuck stuff. No offense. Sorry. But for somebody to say they weren't a couple, they just went on a couple of dates. He said they were a couple. How to lead like my ex-girlfriend's dead husband is disgusting to me. And I'm not a widow abuser. I'm sorry. Shibtosh, whatever your name is, whatever bot your name. I This is insane. So again, her words, not mine. I'm not just making this stuff.
Somehow getting drinks was the replacement of having coffee and breakfast. I personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone than going. I don't drink. I find it unproductive, not because I'm holier than.
And this one never really bothered me because she didn't say I've never had a drink or I haven't drunk in 5 years. She just said I don't drink, which is fine. Anybody can stop drinking and say that. I didn't have an issue with this, but state it so people know. Make it a testimony. That's how you really, if you're a Christian, that's how you really help people and you really relate people to their situations. You make it a testimony. You don't act holier than thou and say, this is what I I don't do this. I don't do this. I don't do this. Nobody cares about what you don't do. We want to know how it relates to me. That's not what she does.
I just don't operate that way. But I always thought it was very strange how she would go to drinks with one guy and then go to dinner with another. So it goes twofold here. So if you're expecting to marry someone that I was blessed with, like a Charlie,
there you go.
You have to be the type of woman that will attract a Charlie.
I am
So how do you become the type of woman that would attract a Charlie? She's going to tell you right here. She's going to tell you right here.
the wife. I am in charge of certain things, guardian of the home, helping with the children, help.
Okay.
That is so I can make it easy for my husband to do what he needs to do. There's a balance there.
I mean, just becoming a CEO of a shoe company is not going to give you happiness.
Women have it so mixed up. You can have a career after children.
Right here, after children.
But if you try to have a career while you have your kids, there is no such thing as balance. That is such a myth.
No such thing.
I can't spend half of the day doing one thing. I missed out half of that time with being with the kids. So like you have to choose, where your heart has to be fully with the home. You have to make that decision on your own, but you can always, after your kids are in school or after they're in high school, you can always go back to work. You can always find a way to get back into the workforce. But if you miss those precious first few years, that is so hard to make up, because memories are so much more important than an added paycheck. It's
how God has wired us, and it's our nature, which is to have children, not just have a bigger bank account.
Oh, wait. She said it! Now, I agree with most of that. I don't think a woman should have to wait till they're in high school, but she said it. I didn't say this. I didn't say any of this. I didn't introduce this to the world to be critiqued. I don't think anyone would have critiqued it, to be honest with you. As soon as he died, she didn't appoint herself CEO. I almost said CPO. She didn't appoint herself CEO and take over his job. He's got 2 kids under the age of 4. She's got 2 kids under the age of 4. And here's why it bothers me the most. As a man, as a husband, my role, my job is to protect my family, my wife and my kids. The best way to do that, if God forbid something were to happen to me, would be insurance and earning enough to make sure she does not have to leave the kids. That's the whole point. Her job is not to replace me. My wife's job is not to replace me. Now, I'm blessed. My older daughters, they're out of the house. They're grown. But I have a 7-year-old. And if I, for whatever reason, am no longer here, it is not my wife's job to leave him to go to work. Not if I can help it. And again, through insurance, whatever. So this is why I keep telling people she's worth over $20 million. She does not have to do what she's doing. This is all a choice. I have a problem with this. As a man, as a husband, as a father of 4. My youngest is 7. I have a problem if my son was 3 years old, or either 4. The oldest one is either 3 or 4. If my son is that young, 4 years old, and my other one is 1 year old, my issue with her leaving is now they are losing 2 parents, not just one. And she told this man, we just watched her tell this man what her role is in the household. What about the kids? How can anyone dismiss this? And you're seeing it all over, especially, I'm telling you, there are prominent so-called conservative women who are cheering her on, say, well, she has to do this. She's carrying on Charlie's legacy. Every man knows, and every woman should know, that a man's legacy are his children. And how good they do, and they should be doing better than me. That's our legacy. It's not getting votes for J.D. Vance. But in her mind, it seems to be, we're going to get J.D. Vance elected because that's what my husband would have wanted. No, I'm pretty sure if you gave him priorities and he said, stay home with the 1 and 4-year-old or get votes for J.D. Vance in 2028, I'm pretty sure he would say, no, you need to stay home. You have everything you need to stay home. Not because I want you to, not because your dead husband thought that's what you were going to do, but because you said it. You said it. I didn't say it. Charlie Kirk was sitting there talking to this woman. She lied to him in front of the world and said, this is what I'm going to do until your kids are out of high school or in high school. This is what I'm going to do to you, husband. And he said, yeah, this is how it should be. And he dies and you immediately leave. And you want to know how I know she leaves? And it's so manipulative. It's so manipulative. Because if you look at her schedule, and they keep saying, she could be taking them with her. Okay, but she's the one who said you can't balance that. Not me, not Charlie Kirk. She said it's a myth. You can't balance it. Do I need to play it again? I'm not making this stuff up. This lady said it. Those are her words. Find a different one, because it's fascinating to me. It's fascinating how they're spinning this. But she has to now. He's dead. No, that's why they got the insurance policy, and now she's worth over 20 million. So she doesn't have to do this. Anyone saying that she has to do this, you're not being honest. You're just not being honest. I don't know what else to say. This is her words. I didn't make this up. What up, Sniper?
I am the wife. I am in charge of certain things, guardian of the home, helping with the children, That is so I can make it easy for my husband to do what he needs to do. There's a balance there.
I mean, just becoming a CEO of a shoe company is not going to give you happiness.
Women have
it's
it
not
so
going to give you
mixed up.
happiness.
You can have a career after children, but if you try to have a career while you have your kids, there is no such thing as balance.
She said there's no such thing as balance. I didn't just make this stuff up. If she never said this, I would have no issue with this woman. Because I would say, hey, whatever. My problem is she's talking to her husband, who is now dead. She's giving him the impression that this is who she is.
Such a myth. I can't
It's
spend half of the day doing one thing. I missed out half of that time with being with the kids.
I can't spend half the day doing one thing, meaning I can't be working even for half of the day. Even for half of the day, I can't be working because I'm going to miss very valuable time with these kids. They're toddlers. They're under 4, 2 of them. But now everyone's saying, oh, it's cool. She's got them on tow. She's dragging them around on leashes, taking them to work, taking them on tour all over the country. And they don't see anything wrong with it. And these are supposed conservative women. They're lying. They're not. You can't be. They're living vicariously through her because maybe that's what they want. But this is liberal, far left feminism. This is what we're looking at right now. And they're pretending to be conservative women. I'm a trad wife. No, you're not. You're encouraging this lady to do not only to lie to her husband, because she's already done that, but to live out the lie. This is insane. She doesn't have to be doing this. This has nothing to do with women who and I've seen it. Everyone's seen it. They have to throw car washes just to lay their husband to rest. I get that. Losing somebody horribly, I get that. She lost somebody horribly, but he left. The difference is she doesn't have to do a car wash to bury him or cremate, whatever they do. She doesn't have to do that. She's got $20 million. I think she can survive for a little while and raise those kids. I'm pretty sure she can do that. And you know why that's important? Because that's what she told her dead husband. This is the impression he left this world with.
So you have to choose.
You have to choose
where your heart has to be fully with the home. You have to make that decision.
She's saying fully with the home, not partially. Not, they're with her 95% of the time. They're not fully. She's saying it. I didn't make this up. You're hearing her say it to him, and they're broadcasting it to the world so we can see. And then if you comment on it, and if you're me, I comment on it, for some reason, I'm attacking a grieving widow. What about the kids? Why does nobody say anything about the kids? This is why that whole this is the whole Epstein thing is we're supposed to be trying to protect kids. This mindset and everyone who dismisses this, they have no regard for the kids. Zero. They couldn't care less. And you know how I know they couldn't care less? Because they're saying it. Well, it's none of your business. It is, because she made it my business. And I actually watched Charlie Kirk. I respected him. I didn't agree with everything he said, especially around Zionism. I didn't agree with any of that. But that doesn't mean that I'm supposed to sit here as a father and as a husband and watch a lady lie on her dead husband and just make stuff up. He would have wanted me to go to work. You're lying. You know how I know? Because when he was alive, he didn't want you to go to work. And you don't need to do this. You're choosing. Maybe the kids are too much of a burden. I can't get in her mind. What I can do is speak mine. And I have a problem with this. This is wild. I'm pointing over here like you guys can see that's where.
Decision on your own, but you can always, after your kids are in school or after they're in high school, you can always go back to work. You can always find a way to get back into the workforce. But if you miss those precious first few years, that is so hard to make up, because memories are so much more important than an added paycheck.
So then why are you doing what you're doing? Because you claim to be speaking for this guy. Listen to what he says right now. He said, F you, leave this woman alone, hater. Why do you got to make it about race? Why you got to make it about race? What does that have to do with anything? Really? Are we going to do this? Relax. I don't want to have to start blocking people. I believe in free speech. So most of it I won't. But if it's going to get me in trouble with YouTube, you got it. But she's telling her husband, I want you to listen to her husband and what he says. Because he's going to tell you, this is my expectations. Why? Because it's my worldview.
It's how God has wired us, and it's our nature, which is to have children, not just have a bigger bank account.
So he's telling you his beliefs in front of the world. He had a huge following, millions of views. I want to say, well, his shorts would get every short he did almost went viral. But this guy's getting millions of views, we'll say a month, even though it's probably per day. And he told everyone, whether you agree with him or not, doesn't matter, because that's what he told everyone that he believes. And she agreed with him. And then as soon as he dies, she turns around and does the exact opposite. I have a problem with that. As a father, as a husband, I have a problem with that. Because this lady, and as somebody on the right, I don't even call myself conservative anymore. I can't. Because they're now slightly to the right of Republicans who are almost all the way left. So I don't relate to any of these people. But whether I agree with them or not doesn't matter. What matters is that's what they believe, or that's what she said she believed. That's what she told him she believed. That's what she told him. So how can I not have a problem with that? I don't even know if you meant it this way, but she claims she's in danger. So in her mind, she's going to go to work and do what got her husband killed. For the kids. Does that make any sense? What's up, Yam Sam, man? I'm sorry if I don't see people come in. There's a lot of people. And I appreciate everybody in here. There's certain people that I actually know, so I'll say what's up to them. But if you really believe what she's saying, and she says something like this, why would you go get in the line of fire? Because your husband just died doing this. And then you hired your ex to promote your dead husband. And now you're out on the trail that he was on when he got shot. How is that thinking about your kids at all, in any kind of way? You're not even thinking about, you're not even considering them. What if God forbid, something happened to her? Now the kids have nobody. Her mother's sick. And how do I know that? She told me. She told everybody her mom's sick. Who's going to take care of your kids, lady? You said you were going to do it, but now you're putting yourself, in your own words, in harm's way. Who's supposed to, when I say stuff about this, it's not about her. It's more about Charlie Kirk, but even more, it's about the kids. How can anyone be a father, a parent, or want kids and think like this. I don't understand like this. I understand before you have kids, everything's about you, and this is, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. As soon the second you have kids, the second that baby comes out, everything is about the kids. 100%. Your entire life revolves around these babies, and you have two. And you're saying, yeah, but I want to honor my husband's wishes. And those were getting J.D. Vance elected. Lady, you're sick. If you believe that, if you believe that he would prefer to have you out doing what you're doing over raising his kids, you're crazy. You can't be real. You're not a real person. This is feminism infiltrating the right. And again, you don't have to agree with what they're saying, but if you listen to her words, apparently now it's a crime. It's hate. It's attacking a grieving widow. It's not biblical to say something about it. I disagree. Couldn't disagree more. Misogynistic. I don't know about racist. I don't know where that came from. Rage baiter. Okay. I'll take that. This woman, and you have all these Christian supposed trad wives, and it's a lot of them. They're all saying they're her kids. They're his kids too. Just because he's gone doesn't mean they're not his anymore. That is his legacy. His work was not his legacy. It just wasn't. I'm sorry. They're just not. His kids are. And I gave you two examples and I don't understand these when I bring it up to them, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, so you don't care that she lied? Well, she didn't lie. Circumstances change. Okay, well, what are the circumstances? The husband's gone. Okay, so she needs to be gone too? She's got two toddlers. They need her. And she, in her mind, politics is more important. I don't know how else to phrase it, because that's how she's prioritizing it. She's choosing this, not me. I didn't. This has nothing to do with me, honestly. I can relate. I can empathize for him and what he had to do to put her in position to have $20 million. So she didn't have to do this. She wants to do this. And then she complains about it every time she comes out. And she dresses like the paramilitary and is lecturing people for making fun of her. Then go home. You don't have to be out here. This is politics. You know what politics is. Politics has been this way forever. They used to call George Bush a monkey. Literally. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why are you acting like all of a sudden she's off limits? It's her choice. It is. I'm sorry. And I don't understand why anyone else doesn't see it my way. Because, again, if she didn't have the money to do this, obviously she's got to take care of her kids. Obviously she's got to pick up that mantle. But she does. She does. She's worth over $20 million. She don't have to be doing this. Big Mike. I'm seeing some of the comments. They're flying through pretty quick. I'm seeing some because I get comments from 4 different chats. So I try to watch. Big Mike was off limits for a long time. Shout out to Barry Sotoro. But I just, hey, we'll keep playing it. This is her. Your husband just died. And this is your method or mode of how you're going to communicate. To me, this is another one of those things that I just could not believe when I saw this. Candace Owens is Charles Manson. if Candace Owens is Charles Manson, what do you call this? What do you call this?
I love you. I love you. God bless you.
1 second. Bumps. I don't know Not sure where you think you are. But that we can't do. I'm going to give you a half hour to think about this. If you come back doing that same kind of whatever you think that is, we'll just make sure you can't do it again. Sound good? Let's see. All right, cool. What up, not worth it? Sorry. We're not doing the doxing thing. Come on. I don't even have that many subscribers. Why would you do that? You're just going to start putting people's addresses in the chat? Like, see, so this guy, I have no issue with this person saying Candace Owens is a disgusting evil woman with zero evidence. No issue with that. No issue with that. But you really think that I'm just going to let you put people's addresses? Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Matter of fact, I don't even see a reason to give you another chance. There's no reason for you to be here. You're not my type of human being. Like the other person, like this person, Ethan White, this bot. I have no issue with this bot because that's an opinion. Okay, sharing people's like literal address, that's not an opinion. That's hate. And if you hate her because you think she hates somebody else, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Perfect. You think that she was pushed into this. How? How does a woman with over $20 million get pushed and forced to go to work to provide bread and Similac for her kids? How? But again, if you think Candace Owens is Charles Manson, what does that make this? What is this? What is this? How can anyone, and I said this before a couple lives back, you know you're being filmed. This couldn't be more of a private situation. You're letting somebody film this? And again, using it always bothers me when people use God, especially to manipulate, because that's obviously you're not supposed to do that. God bless you. As you're like, this is sick. What up, GWB? This is sick. Say kids, say hi. I'm just seeing. I just now explained this. I just seen this. Miss Eve, what's up? But how is this possible?
I know. I love you. I love you.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Do we know that she was being filmed? Absolutely, we know she was being filmed. Because she posted it on her social media. So if she didn't know, you think she would allow that to be put on her own social media? Come on, man. What are we doing? The new thing now? Is this the new you guys are just gonna attack chats where they're speaking about something you don't like and try to dox human beings? Like, come on. Is that what we're doing? This is what we're doing? We'll do forever. How about that? How about that? Bye, Ashley Taylor. So this is the new thing. They're just going to start flooding and doxing people in small YouTubers chats. I don't have that many subscribers. That's how you know something's coordinated and how there's just no reason for that. There's no reason. And it's not. So now we've had one on Rumble and one on YouTube. We'll see what happens on Twitch. I don't know if I went live on Twitch today. We'll see if they do that too. But this is weird. This is beyond weird. And what's the worst part about it is coming from the right, and I don't like that. I expect this from the left. No disrespect to anybody who's a Democrat in here, but I expect certain behaviors because that's what they're known for. Like, they're proud of it, so this isn't disparaging. I don't expect this from the right, and this is what we're seeing from the right now. And they're using the Bible to do that to me, and I'm like, no, that's not how it works. And to say, how do I know? She posted this. No one else did this. She posted this. Here, step back, step back. It's a better angle. Somebody said that earlier. You got to get all my hair. Make sure you get my rings. It's disgusting. It's pretty disgusting. So that's my rant on Erica Kirk. I think it's wrong. I think it's intentional. I think it's manipulative. And I think it's just a bunch of feminists who have infiltrated the right and are now promoting this kind of behavior. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And when I say she should do what she said, anyone who says differently is agreeing with her doing this. And I actually wrote this down, or I didn't write it down. I put this down. She has, right here, a total of 30 tour dates. She was just at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. She has 30 tour dates with the Make Heaven Crowded tour alone. She also has this tour. It's called the This Is Turning Point tour. She's already done 5 dates with more to be announced. She attended one, lied about the other one because of attendance, then J.D. Vance canceled another. So technically she's only done 2 of those. She's got a commencement speech coming up this weekend at Hillsdale College. She has the curated for her event in June. It's a 3-day event. How is this staying at home? Peaceful Superman? I think I agree with you. But how is this spending time with your children and you can't spend any time away from them? It's such precious time. It's a myth. She's got all these things coming up. This lady is out of the house. Like, what are we doing? 30 tour dates just would make heaven crowded. The Turning Point one, like I said, they had 5 dates announced, but it said more to come. So actually, they're supposed to be announcing that after her curated for her event in June, which means there's going to be even more dates. Yeah, those hands didn't look real. They didn't look real. But like, lady, how can anyone say that? Well, how do you know where the kids are? It doesn't matter. They're not at home, and they're clearly not with her. Because even when she was taking them to work, she said, she was just letting them roam the office. Like, anyone who's ever had a job knows you can't just take your kids to work and let them roam around, even if you're the CEO. Like, what are we doing? What is this? Those hands were definitely funky. But I think they're trying to run her for something. Probably some kind of, if it's not local in Arizona, she might be on J.D. Vance's ticket. I think this has been a test. That's why they had two dates set for them. She canceled one, he canceled the second one. He's probably like, I'm not doing this. Find me somebody else. But if she's on a ticket, America will see, like the rest of America, not just people like me who's been paying real attention to her ever since that casket thing. But everyone's going to be like, this is not good. Yeah. Well, I know everything about Romanian angels. I know about Otto. I know about Pastor Laurie. I know all of that. I've covered all of that stuff. I'm new to most people who've been coming in my chat lately. I'm not new to this, though. I know all of that stuff. It's wild. It's wild. But it's so bad right now that they're now talking about releasing stuff about UFOs to try and distract us. Hey, listen, we gotta, I don't know, man. I don't know about you guys, but the last time I looked, at least I haven't heard anything about aliens R-wording kids. I would rather the Epstein files be released, but no tolerance for that. We got to hold 3 million of those. We can't put that out. We definitely can't put that out. But UFOs, we can put that out. Why? Why now? And I'm a UFO guy. I watch Ancient Aliens. I like all that stuff. It's fascinating to me. That doesn't mean that I think that should be released before the Epstein file. They're trying anything. This is all to soften the blow. This is all publicity stunts. This is PR. This is propaganda, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're looking at here, to distract us from this war that we're losing. And it's obvious we're losing, but for some reason, nobody wants to say it. They were going to release some UFO stuff. Oh, okay, let's go look at that. No, I would prefer to read about the swamp that was supposed to be drained, that is filled with people who they don't think they could do anything. They can do anything, and there's no accountability. They're doing stuff to children, to kids. Erica Kirk is leaving her kids. These people are evil. They're actually doing stuff to kids. And we have more interest, apparently, in releasing UFO stuff. Here, guys, look over here. I don't want to look over there. I want to look in those. I want to look at those redactions. That's what I want to look at. I want to know who needs to be held accountable. That's all I care about. That's it. You admit there's a swamp. You admit he failed to drain it. What was this? Let's see. And your solution is to vote for the swamp. Who said that? I didn't say that. I don't know where you came. It's all right until you came to a conclusion. That's weird. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't think, or I don't know, I will say, I do think that they think we're so stupid that we can't see what this is. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are falling for it because I'm seeing it. I'm watching people that I thought I respected, that I did respect. And I'm looking at them and I'm trying to figure out, what are they being paid, or are they just towing this line for what? What do they think is going to happen by doing this? Because it's really, really weird. And I don't know. Right now we have Trump has not honored his promises, and everyone who knows me knows that I was actively promoting this guy, actively. But outside of immigration, he's done nothing he said he was going to do. We have a pending assassination trial happening right now, and the FBI is absolutely refusing to hand over the information needed for the defense to defend their guy. So they're saying essentially, no due process. This guy's guilty. Here we go. Death penalty, by the way. Go ahead. Unalive the guy. We don't need it. He's evil. He's evil. He unalived this lady's husband. Now she's got to go to work. Now she's got to hire her ex to promote her dead husband. Like, apparently that's what they think we're supposed to think. But here's the weirdest part, and I said this before, but they keep saying we have it's a mountain of evidence against this guy, Tyler Robinson, right? He's even on video. We had him in 4K, but they never showed us the 4K footage. They won't show us the 4K footage. They gave us some screenshots that were actually blocky and blurry. They won't show us the 4K footage because it will taint the jury pool. And they ride with that excuse. And I'm like, okay. But the White House Correspondents' Dinner just happened, and they, within 2 days, they released 3 different versions of the footage. See, there he is. That's him. Is that not tainting the jury pool against him? They always conflict. And it's wild because I'm watching people make this argument for 6-7 months. Well, they can't taint the jury pool. They can't release the evidence that they have against Tyler Robinson. They might get him off. Okay, well, we saw just now, like literally just now, a week ago, they released blurred footage of the White House Correspondents' Dinner guy. What's his name? I call him Edgar Allan Cole. I think his name's Cole Allen. They released his footage. They released his footage blurred the day of. The next day, they try to release AI, and they realize, oh crap, we forgot to take the AI logo thing off from CapCut. Okay, cool. So now we're going to release. The FBI said, you know what? Go to our YouTube page, which I didn't know they had. They have an official YouTube page from YouTube, and they released the footage in 4K. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Kash Patel, you're still the boss, right? Didn't you say that that's tainting the jury pool in this other case over here? So you're okay with tainting the jury pool against Edgar Allan Cole? You have no issue with that. But against Tyler Robinson, oh no, taint the jury pool. These people are crazy. They think we're dumb. And it's so insulting. It's so insulting to say we'll release 4K footage here, but not here, and give a reason. It's unbelievable. Is it tainting the jury pool or not? Wait. Is it tainting the jury pool or not to release 4K footage? No, it's not tainting anything. Though here's why this thinking is flawed. If you want somebody to find a suspect and you have 4K footage of them, the best way to find the suspect and have other people know who he is if you release the 4K footage, or at least screenshots that were in 4K. That's not what we got. We got a blurred image. It looked like the old Zelda graphics. You're probably not old enough. It looked horrible. You couldn't tell who it was. Oh, but his parents somehow supposedly could tell. No, they couldn't. No, they couldn't. That's all a lie. Everything is lying. They're just lying. But I don't understand why we're okay with that. Why there are people who are okay with that. Even in this chat, I don't understand you people. I can't relate. Because when somebody lies to me, my antenna go up and I'm like, why would you lie right now? Like, what is the point of this lie? I don't understand that. Everything is a distraction. And that brings us back to this thing. So this is Piers Morgan, who is the modern day Jerry Springer, and he's going to be talking to John Bolton, who is the modern day Dick Cheney wannabe. He's a nut job. He's a warmonger. He wants blood. That's all he cares about. But I just want you guys to hear this conversation because to me it's fascinating, and it gives you some insight into how people think about this.
9 weeks and $25 billion, the current peace talks are centered on opening a waterway that was open to maritime trade for thousands of years before this war began, and on limiting Iran's nuclear ambitions to the level they were at in the agreement which the current US president scrapped. With inflation and gas prices heading up, while Trump's poll numbers head ever down, many are urging the US president to accept defeat, declare victory, and bring it all to an end. In a few minutes, we'll debate that with a special studio panel. We'll begin with Ambassador John Bolton, former US National Security Advisor, who thinks the US must stay on and finish the job. What does finish the job mean? Because most experts that I've talked to, whatever their view about whether this should have started or not, they agree that if the end game goal, which President Trump has now sort of tried to reinforce and ring fence, of stopping Iran developing a nuclear weapon is still the goal, then that has to mean that the enriched uranium is either destroyed or handed over, and that the only way, if the Iranians resist that, of getting the enriched uranium is to have a ground invasion. Otherwise, there's no way of getting it. So what does finish the job to you mean?
Well, let's start with Trump. I don't know what his objectives are, and they've been unclear from the beginning. I know what my objective is and has been for 20 years, and that is...
Yeah, he wants blood. So to be fair, this guy does not like Trump. Trump used to take him around because he's nuts. Trump used to take him around just to scare the opposition and thinking, oh man, this guy's his advisor. We need to be scared because this guy, he's nuts. He's a warmonger. Legit. And I think he would say that.
There is no route to peace and security in the Middle East in any lasting basis until the regime in Tehran is removed. And that includes dealing with the nuclear program. Now, I thought that might have been Trump's objective at the beginning of the attacks. I don't think it is today. I think today he desperately wants to get out. But over the long term, even if the nuclear issue is the center of attention for Trump, and that's understandable, there's simply no secure, guaranteed way to accomplish the objective that he says he wants until you get a regime in Tehran that flatly disavows any nuclear intentions and does what Muammar Gaddafi's regime in Libya did in 2003, 2004, and allow, in that case, U.S. and U.K.
Appreciate the Cash App. Thank you so much, Miss Letitia. Thank you so much. I forgot to thank you for that earlier. Absolutely appreciate it. Thank you.
Nuclear experts to come in and pack up the Libyan nuclear program and take it to Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where it resides today. That's how you deal with it with certainty.
Right. So what you're talking about, this job finishing, can only come if there's a change of regime and they agree to hand over the enriched uranium or destroy it. Is that how you see it?
Well, I think that's the only certain way to do it.
Ethan, the reason why he told you to tread lightly is because something like this can happen. Sorry.
And it's not just on the nuclear side; it's on the support for international terrorism and on closing the Strait of Hormuz. Right now, I think the the Ayatollahs and the Revolutionary Guard think they're in a position to open and close the strait like turning a light switch on and off. And that's simply unacceptable, not just to the United States, but certainly to the Gulf.
How do you
Arabs
stop? I mean,
and,
you know, how do you actually stop them? I mean, I think that's true. And I think there's been this asymmetric war where you have a military war where America and Israel have been pounding the military capability of Iran, and I'm sure massively damaging it. But they very quickly.
Oh my God. If this is true, this would be the greatest. I didn't see that anywhere, but if that's true. Because as long as Kash Patel is in office, sorry, I know, I just decided. I finally got to see it. I'm finally able to look at the chat and see some comments. If that's true, that is phenomenal, because there can be no Epstein release with him there because he's perjured himself twice on the topic. So he'll never allow anything else to come out. So if this is true, man, that's phenomenal. Get Kash Patel, get him out of there. Oh man, that would be great.
You realize, the Iranians, that if they control the Strait of Hormuz, they can cause enormous global damage to the global economic market, particularly in relation to energy and fertilizer.
I hope so.
And they've been whacking their neighboring Gulf states in a way that's been very damaging to their business models going forward. So if you're Iran and you think that the United States wants to get rid of the regime and decapitate your nuclear ambition as well, where's the incentive to do any deal that takes away your leverage? Now that you've realized you've got this tremendous leverage.
I wouldn't do a deal with the regime in Tehran. I don't trust them, and I don't think that simply doing a deal
so what would you do?
The kind of security you need. Well, let me make.
He wouldn't do a deal. Listen to his solution. This guy, he would invest more U.S. bodies into this situation. That's what he's about to say. He's not going to say it that way, of course. Can't say it like that.
The predicate point, which I think is important, the regime didn't wake up 4 or 5 weeks ago and say, amazing, why don't we close the Strait of Hormuz? Nobody's ever thought of that before. Everybody knows, everybody who looks at a map knows that the Gulf itself, not just the Strait of Hormuz, is easily disrupted. In the U.S. Navy, they refer to sailing in the Arabian Gulf or Persian Gulf, you can take your pick, as like sailing in a bathtub. They don't like being in there. And it's not like Iran hasn't tried to disrupt commercial trafficking, particularly in oil, in the Gulf. And
I'm going to show why they don't like being there. You guys are going to see, because this is going to be a little educational. I'm going to show some geography here. It's not that they just don't like being there. What's going on, daughter of Zion, Miss Jenny? It's not like they just don't like being there. It's extremely dangerous where they're at, and we'll show that.
Through the strait before. They did it in 1987 and 88. Reagan reflagged Kuwaiti tankers as American tankers, and we escorted them through. So this was obvious from the get-go, as was the possibility that Iran would attack the Gulf Arab states, which it did. And Trump knew that. He may say nobody expected that, but I will tell you, in the first term, when I was arguing that our policy should be regime change, those who objected to it raised all of these potential contingencies. So the fact that this is a problem now is more due to Trump either not paying attention to what his advisors were telling him, or thinking he could somehow fake his way through it without taking this into account. That's one of the problems with the way Trump has gone about this whole operation.
Okay, so you don't want to do a deal with the regime. I mean, do you think a ground invasion is the only way that you could get to where you want to get to? And if not,
No.
Okay, so let's rule that off the table as well. And
not even John Bolton thinks that you can do a ground invasion. And again, I'm going to show you guys why. I'm not an Iranian sympathizer. I'm just showing you guys the reality of the situation. This is not a winnable war, no matter what anybody tells you. You need to. John Bolton himself is saying, "Oh no." He even laughed like, "Oh, definitely can't do that." Look at him. He's admitting right here, and this is one of the biggest this is Dick Cheney after Dick Cheney. I mean, he was around back then too, but this dude will even look and laugh and say, no, we definitely can't do a ground invasion. You're going to see why. This is why I'm going to do this presentation today. I kind of did something similar a while back, but there's more people paying attention now. So I want more people to see this. This is really, 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 really serious.
Taking this into account. That's one of the problems with the way Trump has gone about this whole operation.
Okay, so you don't want to do a deal with the regime.
No.
I mean, do you think a ground invasion is the only way that you could get to where you want to get to? And if not,
No.
Okay, so let's rule that off the table as well. And again, if you were the president of the United States right now and you say we've got to finish the job, what do you do?
I would do two things. One, I would clear the Strait of Hormuz militarily, which I thought Trump.
How? There's mines in the strait. There's a path that you can take. There's a path that you can't take. And again, I'm going to show you the geography. It's absurd And then anybody's listening to this kind of stuff and believing, oh, yeah, we got total control of the Strait. No, we don't. We really don't.
It started about 48 hours ago until he paused it in typical Trump fashion. And I would massively ramp up support for opponents of the regime inside, including the.
So he wants to infiltrate and do what we always do, which is get in there, start fake protests, get a lot of people unalived and shot, and pretend that there's an uprising that there's not. There just isn't. And yeah, that's what I'm actually going to go over, Toby, because I think there's still people who don't get it. They're looking at Iran as if it's just a desert, a bunch of people walking around in sandals, beating women for showing their hair. Like, stuff happens, but stuff happens here too. And you can't categorize our country as, oh, it's a place where, you get in on buses and people just stabbing each other in the neck. Like, that's not what we're looking at here.
Ethnic groups, many of which are already armed and organized. I think that kind of internal pressure, combined with maintaining the economic pressure of the blockade against Iranian exports and opening up the rest of the Gulf so that its oil could come out into international markets and bring the prices down globally, I think would be very powerful. It's not all I would do, but those are the two things I'd start with.
Everyone's talking about Iran.
So this guy again, and he's in my description, linked. He's a geographer. He normally covers wildfires and those kinds of events, hurricanes, stuff like that. Listen to this man. This is so important. This is so important.
So we got Iran here. This is Iran is the size of the west coast of America, basically from Pacific Ocean into.
So already, it's almost a third of the size of this country. But there's some things that he's going to talk about that are extremely important that I need you guys to see. It's really important.
Colorado. So today we're going to be talking about the Persian Gulf here that is between Iran and Saudi Arabia. We're going to talk about the Strait of Hormuz here. We're going to talk about why we can't defend the Strait of Hormuz, why the Navy isn't going into the Persian Gulf, and kind of the implications of that if we talk about a ground invasion in Iran. So we've got Iran here. We got its biggest neighbors are Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and we've got the Gulf states here. Bahrain, Qatar, UAE. We've got Oman, and we got Yemen. All that pinches down here to the Strait of Hormuz between the UAE and Iran. Okay, so here we've got kind of the crux of the biscuit here is that the Persian Gulf is sitting right on top of the world's gas pump.
So this is a perfect reason why this is a perfect example of why I'm doing this. I can tell you're not a military man because this is winnable. You will not find any military men saying that is recommended. Not one. I haven't seen one. Even the ones who are promoting the war are not talking about ground invasions. That's insanity. Insanity. Destroying power plants and bridges. And this video, what I'm showing right now, is going to show you how ridiculous what you're saying is. And I'm glad that somebody said that, because now I don't have to explain it. You can see it.
So these pink circles show natural gas terminals, basically places that gas gets loaded onto ships, sized by their volume. And you can see that a huge amount of something like 20% of the natural gas in the world comes from the Gulf here. We've got pipelines here in red, and most of these pipelines that we're seeing are to get gas to the Gulf. They're not really designed to connect to the rest of the world. So we got the Strait of Hormuz here, and then we see the shaded relief map showing the elevations basically of Iran. And we can see that we've got mountain range here that comes down to the Persian Gulf, and a lot of these peaks are over 5,000 feet. The white area.
Again, people, this is perfect. Stanley, I appreciate you being here. Hey, you should come here more often because you make the points that are going to be defeated by this video alone. And it's perfect because I know a lot of people think like this. And we have an issue here in this country right now with arrogance. And before disaster, there's always an amount of arrogance that's displayed. So this is perfect. What you're saying here is perfect.
Areas in here are peaks that are over like 9,000 or 10,000 feet. Now we got the whole central plateau of Iran. Up here, we got Tehran and the Alborz Mountains. Some of these peaks are over 14,000 feet. So any land invasion of Iran is likely has to come from the west, from Iraq. And right now we're hearing a lot of talk about sending Marines in to secure Harg Island, and Harg Island is right here, and that's
impossible.
That's a main terminal for Iran to get their oil out through the Persian.
Isn't that perfect? He's talking about exactly what you're talking about, Harg Island. And we're going to see how ridiculous your statement is. No offense, and I'm not being disrespectful. I'm being genuine here. I love when people who disagree with me are in my chat. I love it. You can ask it, the normal people here, they'll tell you I absolutely love it. I would love to talk to some of you people.
Persian Gulf. So a lot of the oil that's produced in the country gets pipelined out to this island, the Arg Island, and then taken out through the Strait of Hormuz. So we want to talk here about why right now the Navy is not operating in the Persian Gulf, and why we're unable to secure the Strait of Hormuz to a point where shipping companies are able to get insurance to pass their ships through there. So one of the problems when we look at trying to secure the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf writ large is that we're at war with Iran, and Iran owns the entire northern boundary of the Persian Gulf.
The entire.
It's over 500 miles from Kuwait here on the western end.
So he just overlaid the strait over the state of Texas, so you can see just the size of what we're talking about here. So you look from UAE all the way through Kuwait. That's the length of Texas. Anyone who's ever driven through Texas understands this and is like, oh wow, it's huge. The drive from Houston just to El Paso takes forever. So we're looking at how big this body of water is, and I like that he does this, because this is what he does. He's a geographer guy, and he's just giving us perspective to how big this area is. So to see somebody say, hey, we gotta we just take the island. Well, the island's all the way inside of this, all the way up at the northern end of Texas,
end of the Persian Gulf to the Strait of Hormuz. It's natural. It's just like the canyonlands of Utah, right? There's no limit on the number of places you could hide a drone or hide some rocket launchers or anything else. So just the topography, the geography of this coastal plain that goes on for 500 miles provides
500 miles is that mountain range. When's the last time you drove 500 miles? So it's easy to say, oh yeah, we just send some troops, they go through the mountains. Okay, how are they gonna, that's 500 miles, just the coastline. But to get inland, you would have to essentially go through San Francisco mountains. That's the type of mountain range we have here. And this is the northern end of the Strait of Hormuz.
It's kind of unlimited number of hiding spots for people to launch missiles, launch drones, generally screw up the program. Just geographically, another interesting thing along this coastal plain is there's a lot of protected areas, wildlife refuges, wetlands, swamps.
All right, so people from Florida, all that green is wetlands. Can we travel through there? No. Can somebody hide in there? Absolutely. It's all swampland. All this green on the edge here to the north of the Strait of Hormuz is all swamps. This is why I find this kind of thing so fascinating, because I don't think people realize that it's not just a desert with a bunch of people wandering around in sandals. It's just as diverse as the west coast of this country, where you can go to Riverside and be in a desert. You can be, drive 2 hours in and you're in the mountains and you're in forests, and you can drive up to Yellowstone. Like, this is the same kind of terrain we're talking about here. Yeah, Toby, swamps. This is why I'm showing this. People don't know what we're getting into. And I keep saying, no, we can't do that. They're, oh, yeah, we're the United States. We can do anything we want. Yeah, okay. The only solution from the United States perspective, we can win this, of course. But what do you have to do to win? Nuke? You're not invading this, and you're not winning if we invade. It's not going to happen. The geography alone tells you it's not going to happen. You know how I know? This country is 24, 25 times older than ours. It's been there for a little while. They've been through some stuff. Just because we are the greatest country ever, and we have the greatest military ever, does not mean this is winnable, because we couldn't even do anything in Afghanistan, which doesn't even have half the mountains that this country has. And what was the biggest complaint? It's like whack-a-mole. We can't find anything. It's all mountains. Oh, yeah, really? Well, they're surrounded by a bigger mountain range than Afghanistan has. And we couldn't win there? So you think we're going to go into this country, which is way more developed? You're going to see. You're going to see.
Iran has a large network of protected lands. And I think it's easy to to be surprised by that, maybe, to think like, hey, this is a highly developed, highly civilized country. We tend to get told that these are a bunch of crazy people who are living in the desert, and all they care about is death to America or something. But we're dealing with a country that's been here for thousands of years, and hence a lot of these villages are really old too. Okay, so now we're at the western end of the Persian Gulf. You can see there's a lot of pipelines. The pipeline data I've got is kind of schematic more than precise. But you can see that a lot of Iran's pipelines come to the coast and collect.
There we go. Here we go.
To ship out.
There it is. Who was saying? What's the guy's name? Where are you at? Oh, Stanley. This is Carg Island you're talking about. This is Carg Island. You got to see what it takes to get to Carg Island.
So right now there's this talk that if we can take over Carg Island, we'll control the purse strings of Iran, and then we'll win the war. Well, the problem with that is we aren't going to. If we take the island, doesn't mean that we have access to all their oil, because they can just turn off valves upstream here.
Yep.
And we won't have any oil that we can take. But beyond that, we've seen that Iran is capable of striking targets routinely and accurately 1,000 miles away. I'm not a military strategist. I've never worked in defense. But putting a whole bunch of people out here on this island in a place that right now the Navy is afraid to send any ships because they're getting shot with rockets and everything.
Look where that island is.
We just see that, like, you have to.
Look where that island is. It's not accessible. You have to go through the strait if you're going to do it by sea. And if you want to fly in, where are you going to land? Because it's not ours. So you can come the other way from Kuwait. But just watch. Just watch.
Sail through 500 miles of sketchy waters
500
to get to this island.
Miles to get to this little island. And then when you get there, what did you achieve? They just shut the valves off and reroute the oil. You don't get it. You still don't get it. So what's the point of that island again, Stanley? You still in here, or did you leave? Hopefully you didn't leave. Hopefully you're learning something right now about your arrogance. And I'm not disrespecting you, because it's not just you. I thought that this was not a big deal until I started really paying attention to the geography. And this guy helped me a lot. This is not even what he does. He's just explaining geography, because that's who he is. So I'm like, oh man, this is not what we think it is. And I'm gonna show some more footage that's gonna show you this is in many ways more civilized than here. And you're gonna be like, no, this guy's an Iranian shill. Yeah, okay, we'll see.
You're fighting a battle there. How do you resupply, etc.? Seen some people saying that we can. I've seen some people saying that we'll launch an airborne attack from Kuwait into here. But I also have been seeing a lot of reports that all of our air bases in the Gulf have been getting hit with rockets from Iran.
Yep.
And that people are less and less excited about us operating directly out of their territory, because their infrastructure is going to get hit by Iran if they cooperate with us. So that's your real quick look at the geography of the Persian Gulf, why we're not able to control the Strait of Hormuz, and the difficulty in even getting to Carg Island, let alone occupying it and staying there for some amount of time.
I'm glad you're still here, Stanley. I don't know why you're talking about World War II. This is nothing like World War II. First of all, we started this conflict. Second of all, what is this like? The terrain is nothing like World War II. There's no storming any beaches here. It's just not going to happen. So okay. Just please keep watching. You're going to learn. Whether you admit it or not, I don't care, because you're going to learn. Because Iran right now can drop bombs on Israel. Look where we are. Look where he zoomed out to. So what? We're going to go from Kuwait to Carg Island? And then what? And then what? You're going to drop people on there just to be what? Target practice?
A couple of other things that are interesting here is we've got these gas terminals. We've got the Pars field, north and south, which are jointly kind of developed by Qatar and Iran. Israel attacked infrastructure in the Pars field recently, and Iran responded by bombing gas field infrastructure in Qatar, supposedly causing $20 billion worth of damage to a $26 billion facility. And right now, Trump is threatening massive attacks on Iran if they don't open the Hormuz within 48 hours, saying he's going to bomb their power plants. And they're saying, well, bring it on, because if you do that, we're going to blow up everyone's gas fields. So Strait of Hormuz, big leverage, no simple solution there. I think that a lot of times we see a map of Iran.
This is the old video that I want people to see, because this is going to show, again, more geography. But people just don't understand. They just don't. Yes. So this is actually a great point. We've been planning this since the 40s and still have no answers. And for some reason, did not expect that they were going to control the Strait of Hormuz. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. To me, it's fascinating that people, again, the only thing I can attribute all this to is our own arrogance. It doesn't matter who started it. You're missing my point. Yes, Iran started. Iran's crazy. Iran's evil. Iran's everything you say. That does not mean that this is winnable. That's the part you're missing. I'm not taking sides here. I told you I'm indifferent. Well, you may not have been here. I'm completely indifferent to Iran. I don't care about Iran. I am America first, which is why I'm against this war. But what you're missing is the important part. Is this winnable? And you're looking right now as to why it is not. Watch this guy.
This big brown expanse, and we think it's just all desert or something. But it's a pretty diverse country geographically. It's got 2 large mountain ranges, the Zagros Mountains that run here kind of northwest to southeast, and it's got the Alborz Mountains in the north that are between the Caspian Sea and the bulk of the country. The middle of the country is a giant plateau that's about 3,000 feet elevation. These Alborz Mountains on the north have a lot of peaks that are over 10,000 feet. The largest one is pretty close to Tehran, and it's 18,000 feet tall. So the city of Tehran, where we're really focusing a lot of our bombing and everything, is basically inside of a giant natural fortress. It's protected from the north from a land invasion by these 10,000-foot mountains. It's protected from the west by the Zagros Mountains. And this is one of the reasons that Iran and the Persian kingdom survived so long. Tehran has been a city for 6,000 years, in part because it's really hard to get there from anywhere else. And the very few travel routes in and out of this country are defined by geography and places, they're pinch points, basically. So you can't just march 100,000 troops into Iran without them being focused by geography and pretty obvious, right? It's not like you're going to sneak into there. Tehran's a huge...
It's like the movie 300. You force them through where you want to go, and then the numbers mean nothing. And you're just slaughtering people for what? For what? Here's the most important part of this video, and I'm going to keep stressing this. I don't think people understand this.
City. It's the size of New York City in population. It's almost 10 million people.
It is the size of New York in population. And why this is important, because it's actually larger than New York City. So I'm going to show you guys something really quick. Where is it? I don't have it. Well, I zoomed in kind of so you guys can see. If you look on the right, that's New York. That's the Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island. There's, I believe it's 8.8 million people, or 9 million people in that city. Tehran has 9.8 million. So there's more people in this area. And this city is almost the same size as New York City. And New York City's square mileage is 300 and some change. Tehran's square mileage is 280 and some change. So when people say, oh, we just go in there and we blow up some bridges, okay, what good would that do in New York City? Because this is how I need people to look at this. This is New York City. The proportions are a little bit different because Newark is like Jersey is in there also. But if you know New York, you know Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Manhattan is actual New York. It's almost the same size. Like if you chop Manhattan in half, that's the same size as Tehran, with more people. But there's more interesting things about this place. The wrench in it started.
Imagine in Iran that instead of spending their wealth, billions of dollars supporting terrorists or weapons, had spent that money helping the people of Iran, you'd have a much different country.
This is their subway system. And this is what I found fascinating. I sped it up. There was music playing, so I cut that off. But when people think Iran, for some reason, and this is, again, this city is the size of New York with more people. They are not some random country slapped in the middle of a desert. It is fully developed, and in many cases, more developed than ours. This is their subway. I challenge you guys, even in Chicago. Now, New York, everybody knows New York is filthy. Everyone knows New York is filthy. But I challenge you to go even in DC or Chicago. You're not going to see this kind of care, I should say. And again, I don't care about Iran. I'm trying to show you guys that this is not a us against some kind of sand-dwelling savages like they try to make it out to be. That's not what this is. This is fully developed, and in many cases higher developed than we have here. I'm not sympathizing with these people. I'm not even empathizing with these people. I'm trying to show you what we're really up against versus what we're being told we're up against. Oh, they do this. You're going to see a lot of women in this video with hair. Oh my gosh, they're showing hair. I thought they'd just get thrown off of buildings because that's what we get told. This is fully developed. And what's crazy is when we watch something like this and you see this, you'll hear people say, "Oh, that's just propaganda," or it's real, or it's real. So yes, this is the greatest country that's ever been known to man. This is the greatest superpower that's ever been known to man. But just because we are as great as we are, it does not mean that this is something that's winnable. It doesn't, because there's still geography. It's still geography. You still have to get there. How do you get there? How do you get to this place? And when I see somebody say, "Oh, we just blow up some bridges and some plants," how? It's the size of New York. Have you guys? Has anybody been to New York? You're just going to do pinpoint attacks throughout the city of New York? You're not going to kill any regular citizens? Do you know how big that city is? Now, land-wise, Los Angeles is bigger, but New York is essentially one of the biggest. I mean, with population, it's the biggest city in this country. That's the same thing that they have over there, and we're sitting here acting like we'll just bomb some bridges, and those hopeless idiots, they won't know what to do. What are we looking at, though? That's not what we're looking at. Oh, there it is. It's the size of New York. The population, they have more. Look at how, like, this is this is not the sand. I don't want to say that word. Oh, I almost said something wrong. This is not what people think it is. I thought this was AI. I'm like, there's no way. I thought this stuff was AI. No, it's not. And I'm not, again, I don't care. I don't hold their government responsible for who they are, just like I wouldn't expect anybody to hold us responsible for our government. Because in war, we're not supposed to be bombing citizens anyway. How do you avoid that? How do you avoid that? Like how? How do we avoid that? You have a fully developed country. This is not like anything we've faced. This is not Afghanistan. This is not Iraq. This is a place that's been in existence 25 times longer than we have. And to dismiss it, I don't think that's very wise. Because not only are they as developed structurally, but they're not dumb. We make our arrogance is killing me. I didn't know we were this arrogant. And I was one of them until I started looking into Iran. I'm like, nah, this is nothing. We can go in there, we can do anything we want. We can't. Physically, we cannot do this unless we want to drop a nuke. And if that's what you're advocating for, cool. Yes, it's very winnable. I don't think that's what anybody's advocating for. Because that's essentially the end of civilization. So how far are we willing to go? And what is the goal here? Because if the goal is to remove the regime, that didn't work. We already did it. The first date, what was the first day of the war? February 28th? February 28th, we started this, and they said it'd be 2 weeks. Well, it is now May 8th. Am I saying we need to retreat? I'm not saying anything. I'm just telling you the reality of what we're looking at here. And the reality is our goal, Trump's goal, is they can't have a nuke. Okay, cool. Is that Israel's goal? Because they're saying we want full regime change. Okay, well, you did that, and that didn't really work, did it? You killed essentially their pope. Did that work? No? Okay, so at some point we got to figure out, okay, well, what's the new goal? Because this isn't working the way we wanted it to work. This sucks. For me, I don't like filling up gas, and I don't like filling up my wife's car with gas. And if we had a stated goal to begin with, and we knew this was going to happen, and we weren't just following Israel into their conflict, I think we would be in a much different situation. I really do. because now we can't bluff anymore. They've called our bluff. And we look like idiots, to be honest with you. And I don't really care about the national stage, I don't care about how the world looks at us. But that doesn't mean we don't look like idiots. Because all of our allies, which, again, I don't care about them either. I'm America first. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm America first. That's all I care about. America only, if I could be. If it were realistic, I'd be America only. But that doesn't mean I'm just going to support anything because America, yeah, no, this isn't Team America. We have to be realistic. We have to look at this and say, those mountains are like going through San Francisco mountains and then traveling all the way to Utah just to get to Tehran. Yeah, okay. I don't think that's going to happen. The only way to win this, there can be no ground invasion. You have to be talking about, I don't even know if there's such thing as a low-scale nuke. This is not winnable. It's not. And anyone who thinks it is they're hoping that the people of Iran will turn against them. But the problem with that is Israel started out this war by killing 40,000 people in Iran and their pope. So it kind of rallies people around. Remember what happened at Pearl Harbor? Kind of rallies people around. Remember 9/11? Kind of rallies people around the country. It doesn't do what they're saying it's going to do and what's needed to do to win this war. That's all I'm saying. I'm not rooting for these people. I'm not.
It's the size of New York City in population. It's almost 10 million people. The city of Mashhad
more than New York.
East corner is the size of Los Angeles. Isfahan here in the center is the size of Houston. The country's got a population of 92 million people, and it's got a 90% literacy rate, highly educated population, especially among the youth. 98% of the youth under 24 years old are literate.
So, we went over this kind of before, but I need the new people to see this. Because you heard what he just said. And this is important. This is very important, actually. Because our literacy rate is 54, 79 overall, as really. So, sorry, I misread this. 54% of us read below the 6th grade level, but we can read. So these people aren't stupid. They've been around 25 times longer than we have, and we're arrogantly, because we are, I can't say this enough. This is the greatest country that has ever been known to man. Our freedoms are unmatched. Everything we do is unmatched, especially militarily. But to pretend like we're just going to destroy these savages, that's not what we're looking at here. That's not what we're looking at here. They have 92 million people who are not all, I won't say all of them, but on average, they're more educated than we are. And we're trending down. 54% of United States adults cannot read above 6th grade level. That's what we're looking at here. Meanwhile, they're at 90%. And their kids are way up ahead of us. Way ahead. 99%. 99%. So that's our future we're looking at here. So when I see somebody talk about long term, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. What are we getting out of this?
To wrap it up, I just want this graphic of doing the research here today. I think this graphic really is the one that gave me the biggest heebie-jeebies. We've got Iran here between Iraq and Afghanistan, 2 countries that we've invaded in the last 25 years and been unable to achieve our initial objectives. You can see it's much bigger than both of them. It's got the topography of Afghanistan, and unlike Iraq, it's much more united internally. It's much more monolithic religiously. It stood up to decades of sanctions from the West. And I think if anything, if we're expecting to bomb Iran and have the people all come out and be happy about it, think of what happened to us when we got bombed in 2001. The United States united against the people that were bombing us. So I'm not sure why we would think that bombing them is going to make them and killing their supreme leader is going to make them kind of suddenly run out and thank us and want to be part of our parade. There's a lot to unpack there. We try not to get too political on the lookout, but geography matters, history matters. Geographers like to say that historians are just geographers without maps. The lessons we've learned tell us that we can't win military conflicts with air power alone. I want to wrap up with this map of Iran.
This is the most important thing that I keep trying to show people. And it's like they're not grasping it, but if you've ever been to California or Utah, hopefully this sinks in.
Superimposed on the Western United States. I want to have a little thought exercise here where we imagine that our goal is to come overthrow the Mormons in Salt Lake City, and we're invading from the port of San Francisco. Can you imagine trying to move all your troops and material over the Sierra Nevada mountains through Donner Summit and then all the way across Nevada against an enemy that has spent thousands of years fighting battles on this terrain and spent the last 30 years preparing for a war with the United States? Next time you're driving across Highway 80, imagine the logistics of trying to fight a war across that geography.
Meanwhile, the U.S. blockade on Iranian.
And if that doesn't sink in, or that doesn't make you at least say, I don't know what will. I really don't. I'm not a fan of any war. Definitely not one that we start. I'm all for obviously defending ourselves, but I'm not a fan of any war for any other country, and that's what we're doing right now. This has nothing to do with this. It's not our war. We're fighting for Israel. Let's be real here. And you know what? You know how I know we're fighting for Israel? Actually, we're going to talk about it because this is yesterday's news report on what's happening right now. I said I was supposed to look. What am I supposed to look at? Who is Mike? Mike? I can't see everybody. There's a lot of people in the chat. Yes, I'm enthralled with my own babble. You know how many people were in here? Hold on, let me see. Read the chat, knucklehead. All right. Relax, man. Chill. What am I supposed to be reading? What did you say? You're just yelling at me the whole time. You didn't even say anything? Are you serious? Let's see. Trump is going to blast Iran into oblivion. That's what you wanted me to go back and look at? Iran will cease to exist? That's what you wanted me to go back and look at? Hold on. That's what you really... Is that... Seriously? I saw it. That's fine. You can. It doesn't matter, dude. It was going too fast. I couldn't see that. I can't believe you had me go all the way back there for that. Come on, I ain't gonna block. So his insight to this. You didn't want to hear my babble. His insight to this is we're just gonna bomb them into oblivion. Wake up, Negro. That's what he said. Here's yesterday's reports.
Imports is holding strong, kinda, as the Navy fires upon and disables an Iranian oil tanker trying to break through.
And while Tehran reviews the latest U.S. peace proposal, President Trump says a deal could be right around the corner.
The Wall Street Journal reports the new U.S. proposal includes Iran handing over all enriched material, a 20-year ban on enrichment, a declaration that Iran doesn't seek nuclear weapons, Iran dismantling key nuclear facilities, inspections if violations do occur, and a ban on underground nuclear work. Iran's foreign ministry says the regime is still examining the memorandum, but a response is expected in the hours or days ahead. President Trump spoke about the prospects of an agreement on Wednesday.
We're in good shape. And now we're doing well. Now we have to get what we have to get. If we don't do that, we'll have to go a big step further. But with that being said, they want to make a deal. We've had very good talks over the last 24 hours, and it's very possible that we'll make a deal.
This comes as...
And just because I am strongly against everything Trump is doing now, doesn't mean I don't still like the guy. He's still funny. I just can't. I can't support something that's not true. And phenomenal job on the border, but Epstein files, this war, we're still funding Ukraine. He hasn't stopped. He hasn't done any of the promises that he said he was going to do, except for the border, which again I'm grateful for. Ship as many illegals out as you can. They should be like. It should be a train. They should build a whole rail to the southern border and then just ship them. I have no issues with that at all. I'm all for it. But the degree of seriousness that he took the border should be applied everywhere. And the Epstein files was a problem because that is the swamp. Those people are still there. So when he's gone, there's no accountability. That's my problem with Trump. He's the one who was supposed to be taking care of these psychopaths and holding people accountable, not for putting pebbles in the sand. James Comey should be in prison for sedition, for trying to overthrow an election, what they were trying to get him on. James Comey knew what he was doing. He's an outright traitor, but we're going after him over pebbles in the sand. I'm not saying it's not serious, but it's not serious. He's not going to get in trouble for that. He's not going to get in. He got indicted. James Comey is not going down. Former head of the FBI is not going down because he put 86 the president. It's not going to happen. It's almost like lip service to us to make us feel, oh, he's actually going after it. No, he's not, because he'd be going after him for the stuff he's really done and trying to overthrow an election and intentionally leaking he perjured himself. He admitted that he leaked documents, classified documents, but then he lied and he perjured himself multiple times in Congress, and we're going after him for putting pebbles in the sand. Does that seem serious to you? Not to me. And the good thing about that, well, I don't know how good it is. Trump's still got 3 more years. But he's about to be lame duck before the midterms. I've never seen anything like this. Do what you say you're going to do. That's what I hired you to do. All this other stuff is nonsense. I don't care about any of this other stuff.
We're tracking developments out of the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf of Oman, where Central Command says an Iranian-flagged vessel attempted to breach the U.S. naval blockade on Wednesday. The tanker was warned multiple times before U.S. forces fired on the ship. The shots came from the 20-millimeter Gatling gun of an Fa-18 Super Hornet that took off from the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier. As the region waits to see what comes next, Israel is continuing its offensive action against Iran's largest proxy, Hezbollah, launching a new strike against the group's war-on forces in Beirut overnight.
We are maintaining continuous contact with our friends in the United States. I speak with President Trump almost on a daily basis. My people and his people are in contact on a daily basis, including today. I will also speak with President Trump later tonight. There is full coordination between us, and there are no surprises.
I spoke earlier.
I'm not a fan of Bibi Netanyahu, but Toby wants to create a snitch society. Just pay us. We'll track them all down. Full on mercenaries. That's
with a senior Israeli official who indicated the U.S. naval blockade against Iran is getting exponentially worse for the regime, and the domestic pressure is rising for the Iranian government. Guys?
Hey, Trey, do you believe the Operation Freedom that was put in place on Monday was working or not working? And do you think that had a role in why the president pulled it off?
Regional officials say Project Freedom was working, and it was one of the cards that President Trump is holding against the Iranian regime. And he continues to add cards, one official told me, when it comes to the pressure on this regime. One of those cards was Project Freedom, the other, the broader U.S. naval blockade, and also the president's patience when it comes to dealing with the Iranian regime. Iran thought they could wait out President Trump, and ultimately the president turned that playbook on them. And that is what we're seeing right now. And the reason it appears that the Iranians are returning to the negotiating table, and at least according to initial reports, making some key concessions that they were unwilling to make previously.
So, Trey, what does the timeline look like here? Because we've seen Iran delay. And while they're showing an indication to come back to the negotiating table, Iranian state media is already downplaying this latest development.
So the timeline here is looking at a matter of hours or possibly days for the Iranians to respond to this American proposal. A memorandum, we are told, that includes 14 separate points. And you heard some of those from the Wall Street Journal's reporting overnight, but it is a total block of Iran's nuclear ambitions. It would ensure that not only the enriched material is exported from Iran, but also that the country for at least 15 to 20 years couldn't enrich uranium within their country. Now, some of the details are still being discussed.
Now, we're not going to get all of that. If we get any of that, that's a win. But they have all the leverage. There's no incentive to do this stuff. I just don't see. Like I said, if we get any of that stuff, that's great. But we really have no leverage without the Strait of Hormuz, and we don't know, regardless of what they're saying, Iran is allowing our ships to be there. You just saw the geography. They are fully capable of doing anything they want to our ships. They're not doing it because they don't want all-out war. They're actually exercising control. And we actually learned this really early on when they struck somewhere, I forgot, it was like 3,000 miles away or something. Like, oh, we didn't know they had that capability. Okay, so the fact that we didn't know they had that capability means they've been showing restraint this whole time. Because they bombed somewhere like 2,000, I don't know how many miles. It was far. It was really far. I'm like, oh, snap. That's when I'm looking, I'm like, it shifted everything, because Even our government was like, we did not know that they had these capabilities. Immediately, Rubio added that to the talking point, saying we got to get rid of their short range capabilities on top of their long range capabilities because we didn't know that they've been working on this. Yeah, there's a lot we didn't know, clearly. And that's bad. That's really bad. But it shows me that they're showing restraint because they could have been using those on other countries. They've chosen not to. What's up, Lester?
And the Iranians are likely to respond to this U.S. proposal with details of their own. But the bottom line here is that the president is laying out a very specific path forward. There are two options for the Iranian regime. They can choose the pen or they can choose the sword.
We begin this morning with an escalation in...
This is today. So that was yesterday. This is today.
The U.S. carried out what it says are self-defense strikes on Iran after 3 Navy destroyers came under fire. The Iranian military released this video reportedly showing its Navy firing missiles during that exchange. U.S. Central Command says the destroyers were not struck. Sources tell CBS News the U.S. military targeted 2 Iranian ports. Both Washington and Tehran claim the other attacked first. President Trump praised the military action, but insists the ceasefire is still intact.
Every missile was...
So what we're seeing is flexing. Flexes and dares. Both sides are doing it. And so I don't mind this because it allows us and allows them to save face, so hopefully we can end this. Because again, this started February 28th. It is May 8th. Both sides can say we won and move on. But as long as we're making demands that just aren't realistic, I don't see a way out of this. They're going to just say no. They're going to say, okay, we'll do this, but we're going to keep our nukes. And the reason they're doing this is because if you watch what happened in Libya, as soon as Libya and Gaddafi allowed them in to remove their nuclear capabilities, what happened to him? What did Hillary Clinton do to that guy? I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm America first, America only. I don't care. What I'm saying is I'm thinking like them, and I'm saying if we just watch what happened to Gaddafi, not just, but you know what I mean. If we watch what happened to Gaddafi, why wouldn't that happen to us? We're never going to give up our nuclear capabilities. They're just not going to. And by the way, Israel has nukes. And they're the ones who are bombing everybody. They're at war right now with Lebanon. Why? They're saying, well, that's a proxy of Iran. Okay, but you're bombing school. There's video right now on X, and you know everything on X gets community noted. There's videos right now on X that are not being community noted because they're true. This here is true. Where is it? Right here. Can I switch to this one? Let's see if it switches. Share this tab instead. No, I don't think it's going to work. Oh, there's no community notes here. Israel just blew up a public high school in Marwahin, South Lebanon, not a military-based school. You know how fast they community note this stuff when it's a lie? It's really easy to tell what's lies because they'll always reference and say, no, this is actually such and such and such and such. There's a whole village. No community note. This is not like a small, let me see if I can. 3.5 million followers. Somebody would have community noted this if it were not true. What does that say? IDF levels entire towns in Lebanon, saying that it was infrastructure. Dude, like what are we talking about here? That's the issues that I have. That we're doing it on behalf of this. For what? I don't like it.
Every drone was knocked down, and the people that shot it are no longer with us. If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran.
Now, we are also tracking renewed attacks on the United Arab Emirates. That country says its air defense systems have been activated in response to Iranian drones and missiles. And President Trump is facing heightened scrutiny over the war's impact on oil prices. You're looking at this, you're likely feeling it already. On average, Americans are paying $4.55 for a gallon of regular gas. That's up 16 cents from just last week and up 53% since the conflict began. Now, the war will likely be a topic of discussion during President Trump's live remarks today. They're scheduled to begin at noon Eastern. We'll bring it to you live. CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro kicks off our coverage from our DC bureau.
I wish this were true, though, Josh. I really do wish this was true. I really do. But the reality is they're taking the whole southern part of Lebanon. They want it. And if you watch that conversation between Tucker Carlson and Mike Huckabee, they're owed it. It's theirs. It's theirs for the taking. Do I know if the U.S. has plans for the release? Supposedly, that's how they're keeping our prices down. And we're supposed to get compensated back. So it's kind of like a trade or something like that. What bothers me is the shorting that's happening. Every time the ceasefires get broken, somebody keeps playing with the market and making hundreds of millions of dollars. And nothing's happening to whoever's doing this. I don't know who it is. Nobody knows who it is. I'm sure they can figure it out. But the same way somebody bet against this country, 9/11, when they essentially shorted the market, and somebody somehow knew something was going to happen. So I mean, almost has to come from the government. But even if you're looking at from that angle, how did they know that something was going to happen on 9/11? So that's what's happening right now. So every time there's a break and there's a ceasefire and there's a broken ceasefire, somebody's playing and voting, or not voting. They're betting against whatever is currently happening. So if there's peace, they're betting against it. If there's conflict, they're betting against it. So then as soon as it switches, boom, millions of dollars immediately. It's beyond market manipulation. Just somebody knows what's happening and they are making hundreds of millions of dollars off of it. We need to find out who's doing this, because on top of it being obviously classified, like how do they know we're going to do a strike? But on top of that, you're manipulating the markets. The entire market gets affected by this. All of our pricing gets affected by stuff like that. So it's really, really. I'm watching all this stuff. I'm watching all this stuff.
With more on all of this. Good morning, Aaron. What is the White House saying about these renewed attacks, and could this impact any chance of a deal with Iran?
Good morning, Errol. Well, yesterday evening, you saw President Trump almost boast.
I voted for Trump. If I had the same options as last time, I would have voted for him again. Because I voted for what I believe and what I told him to do and what he said he was going to do. Just because he didn't succeed doesn't mean that's going to change my vote. It wouldn't have changed my vote. But he needs to be fired because he's failed at his job, in my opinion. But I voted for him 3 times. And he won 3 times. I don't regret the vote. I'm disappointed and frustrated with his 180 on so many different issues, and I don't understand them. And I don't think he's so weak that he would be manipulated. I just think I don't care, or I don't know what it is. He said no wars, no new wars, and ending the current wars. He did. He did. The accountability from me is to say, I'm not good with this. It's not to say I wish I never voted for him. No, because I voted for my standards. No, 3 times. But I voted for my standard. I didn't vote for him, the man. I voted for what he said he was going to do. And if he fails to do it, that's why we fire people. I mean, that's it. Everyone needs to be held accountable. The entire swamp. And the fact that he's not going after the swamp means he needs to be held accountable. And I wouldn't even complain if they started bringing up articles of impeachment. I know their motive is not pure. I know they're not doing it because he's not doing what he said, because they're just doing it because they hate him. And I'm not looking for him to be locked up. I just think he needs to be fired. And if he was my employee, he would have been fired. He would have been fired 6 months in. I wouldn't have had to wait a whole year and change. But no, I don't regret my vote at all. If the next person runs and says the same thing, I'm going to vote for that person. But it's up to them to do it, not me.
be boastful about the sinking of Iranian drones and missiles that came for these U.S. ships in the Straits, as well as the U.S. strikes on launch sites on 2 ports that border the Strait of Hormuz. But he still downplayed the severity of it all in terms of the ceasefire when it comes to a potential deal. At one point, he called it just a love tap, and U.S. Central Command say they do not seek escalation. Now, President Trump has repeatedly said that Iran wants to make a deal more than the United States, even though the war is certainly hurting the U.S. economy domestically. And he has promised a lot of pain for Iran if they do not sign a deal. We know that what's on the table right now is a one-page 14-point memorandum from the U.S. that just sets the terms in the window of 30 days for future talks. Iranian officials say they're still reviewing it, even despite the back and forth yesterday on the Straits. But in a statement just this morning, Iran's foreign minister wrote, quote, "Every time a diplomatic solution is on the table, the U.S. opts for a reckless military adventure." So it certainly shows the two sides are still far apart when it comes to a deal, and yesterday doesn't seem to have helped.
So, Errol, I think it's important to get into the details. Earlier this week, it was reported that we cycled in 2 destroyers and a couple of U.S.-flagged merchant vessels left. What Reuters and others are saying is that yesterday or overnight's attacks were cycling 3 destroyers out. I think militarily, you could look at that and say, 1, illustrates we can move through the Straits, but 2, it doesn't get after the primary problem here, which is it's not changing the commercial reality of getting merchant vessels on scale out through the Straits of Hormuz.
Nope.
And, you know, the administration, through the president, claims the ceasefire is still in effect, yet we have these attacks from both sides. And as Aaron just reported, the closest we get to a deal is this 14-point memo, which really only gives 30 days of breathing room. So what do you make of the overall situation? Are we any closer to diplomatic goals if both sides are still firing on each other and Iran still claims ownership of this key energy waterway?
I think that the ceasefire is tenuous. I think that the reactions back and forth illustrate that on scale, but I don't think it stops the negotiations necessarily. I think your last point is perhaps the most important one. A lot of this posturing using military force from both sides is really getting after what is going to be the end state as it relates to the Straits of Hormuz when the dust settles with everything.
Because now Iran has demonstrated it controls the strait. Before the U.S. and Israeli campaign, that was not the case. Could the U.S. have entered this differently to prevent this situation?
Perhaps. I think one of the struggles that we have is militarily, you know, and analysts and pundits have described Iran for decades as an asymmetric threat. And so when we applied what we would call symmetric force against them up front to go after their nuclear capabilities as well as their leadership, they responded asymmetrically, and now we're dealing with that. And so basically the end state of where we are now is certainly not what we started with, and how we would have gotten to here otherwise remains quite unclear.
That's it. I mean, he in a fancy way, he said they slipped our punch and threw a shot that we didn't even know they had in their arsenal, and we should have known. I don't know. I can't stand Republicans. I wish I could answer that question, but what are the options? That's what you got to look at. They're going to get squashed in these midterms, and based on who it looks like they're trying to position into running, oh man, we may see Stephen A. Smith running for president of the United States. Do you know how pathetic that would be to watch that loser standing up there pretending to be centrist when everyone knows he's a leftist, full leftist too. He's not just, you know, center left. He's a full liberal. It's going to be bad. It's going to be really, really, really bad. Strait of Hormuz was not the initial reason. No, so they created that. Yeah. So again, it's something we didn't know. I don't know how we didn't know. You heard John Bolton say they knew, so I don't know how they didn't know. I don't know. Did I say Steve Smith? I meant Stephen. Yeah. Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, the guy who should look like me, but is keeping the hair right about here, the RoboCop hair. His hairline's right about here. Yeah, he's the one he's who the Democrats are eyeing right now. Why do you think he's changed his positions on everything? So people are calling him out, and you know he sounds more reasonable. That's to make him more digestible. He said he was asked. I pay attention to everything. He said he's been asked and he's been approached. How did you do that? And reply to, did you do that? Reply to me. Where is it? So not that I don't like having people in the chat, but I had over 600 people in the chat earlier, so I couldn't see any comments. I couldn't see people coming in. I kind of like 32 because I can see what you guys are saying and I can go back. But yeah, so that's all I got for today. I appreciate everybody. I mean, I don't know if I've ever had 600 people. I think I did like a week ago, but we're in trouble, man. We're in trouble if we stay in this war because our prices are going to go up. Doesn't matter what our reserves say. We have a problem. We do. We really do. But yeah, so we had to pivot. Thank you all. Welcome to the new people. Josh, welcome, man. Good, nice addition. I like your. I don't mind people challenging what I'm saying or thinking. I don't mind it at all. You see, I let some people ride who I should have been booted. The only ones I really had to get rid of today were people who were trying to dox a stranger. Like, what are you doing? But I appreciate all you guys. Thank you all so much. Thank you to the mods. Appreciate you guys. It's gonna be a rough one. Said RoboCop. I watched that new RoboCop. It was bad. It wasn't good. But then when you look at the old one, it wasn't really good either. It was just the ideas were good, and then we remember things, and there's a nostalgia to them. But when you go back and watch, like, oh my gosh, when they originally killed, what was his name? I don't remember his name. When they killed him, I was like, oh, that's brutal. They shot him. They just kept shooting. It was wild. But yes, thank you, Miss Jenny, Toby, Mel, KMC. Not worth it. I saw your comments. Not worth it. I disagree that he didn't do anything in the first term. I think he was being held back by people like James Comey, who should be under a prison somewhere. Barry Soetoro sent the FBI and the CIA to go out and push a narrative that he knew was not real. But that's a whole different. Murphy, yeah, man, they shot him like 1,000,000 times, nonstop. It was brutal. Movies were brutal back then. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I am O Speaks, and I am